Section 37 of A Guidebook of Art, Architecture, and Historic Interests in Pennsylvania, edited by Margaretta Archambault. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Read by Tatiana Chichilla, Venango County. Formed March 12, 1800, territory then recently acquired by treaties from the Indians, named from Inangae, a rude figure cut in a tree, Seneca language. A well-watered country, the Allegheny River meandering through rugged hills, about 400 feet high, presents places of rare scenic grandeur. Into it flow several streams of considerable volume, among them Oil Creek, French Creek, and Big Sandy. For a number of years after the discovery of petroleum, in 1859, it continued to be the principal oil-producing field. Now chief industries are manufacturing, refining of petroleum, lumbering, and agriculture. Franklin, county seat, population 9,970, named for Benjamin Franklin, was laid out by William Irving and Andrew Ellicott, state commissioners, in 1795, on a plateau where a few Seneca Indians were living in comparative security, with a lookout on the highest point of the highest hill, giving views up and down the two beautiful rivers. Being a conservative town, the original city plan has been closely followed. Descendants of the early white settlers are living on their own lands from original surveys. Courthouse, Renaissance, brick, in center of a fine wide park, contains portrait of John Morrison, first town crier. Nearby is Soldier's Monument, marble shaft surmounted by an eagle. On the pedestal are carved names of Venango County soldiers killed in the Civil War. Opposite is the Franklin News Office. Renaissance, good modern construction. St. John's Protestant Episcopal Church has fine Tiffany windows. The Presbyterian, Baptist, and Roman Catholic churches all have good architecture and stained glass windows. Fine armory building. Original lock and dam are preserved intact, and an early canal extended to Franklin from the feeder canal several miles below Meadville on French Creek. Its course is plainly seen at many places along the creek. 5 old bridges that were swept away by fire and ice have been replaced by modern structures. One is called the Washington, concrete, handsome design. 3 early frontier forts were here, sites marked by monuments and tablets. Fort Machaut, French, Elk Street near 6th Street, 1753-59. Washington came here on way to Fort LaBeouf, 1753. This fort had a share in the maneuvers that precipitated the Great 7 Years' War and dissipated the dreams of an extended French Empire. The expedition which brought on actual hostilities was organized and received its impetus at Fort Machaut. French troops passed through, and often 1,000 Indians lingered here. Fort Venango, Elk Street at 8th Street, English, 1760-63, captured and burned by the Indians during Pontiac's War, and Fort Franklin on Franklin Avenue west of 13th Street, built by United States 1787-96, later abandoned. Also the old garrison on bank of French Creek near junction with Allegheny River, erected by the United States after Fort Franklin. This city has never failed in a military crisis. During the War of 1848, George C. McClellan led the Forlorn Hope, which captured the fortified buildings at Chapultepec, making the takings of the palace possible. 6 miles down the river is Indian God Rock, on which are still seen Indian picture writings. Near this rock, Celeron, a Frenchman, under orders from the governor of Canada, is said to have buried one of the engraved leaden plates, placed at various points from Lake Erie to the Mississippi River, as marks of renewal of French possession. Opposite is a bald mountain, from which are fine views of river scenery. Among the hills are numerous caves and ravines. A lovely ravine is Glen Fern, south of Franklin. Monarch Park, halfway to Oil City, is a well-equipped pleasure ground. Oil City, on Oil Creek, population 21,274, so named because it was the center of the oil industry after discovery of petroleum in 1859. In early days, Seneca oil was obtained from the Indians, who gathered it by spreading their blankets in Oil Creek, the surface of which was covered with oil. Hassan Park, with 40 acres of natural wooded area, has rustic stone, arch gateway at Bissell Avenue entrance. In Christ Protestant Episcopal Church are memorial windows by Lamb, New York. United States Post Office at the corner of Seneca and Clifford Streets, built by the government in 1906, Romanesque, gray brick and stone. Carnegie Library, built 1904, modified Romanesque, gray brick and stone. Architect Charles D. Bullen, Philadelphia. 5 bridges over the Allegheny River include the original Suspension Bridge and the Petroleum, said to be finest in strength and dimension north of Pittsburgh. In 1892, a large petroleum tank caught fire, and burning oil spread over the water in the creek. It also set fire to the buildings, and many lives were lost. From Franklin and Oil City, public highways, now under state control, led along streams and over uplands of great beauty. End of section 37.